Holidays nale நம்ம GT Holidays தான் South India's #1 travel brand. தலைசிறந்த திருமண நகைகளின் பிரத்யேக அணிவகுப்பு ஸ்ரீகுமரன் தங்க மாளிகை. மருத்துவத்துறை சார்ந்த படிப்புகளுக்கு விநாயகா மிஷன் ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் அலைட் ஹெல்த் சயின்சஸ் சென்னை சேலம் புதுச்சேரி.
Hello and welcome to Galatta Plus. In this video review episode, we are going to be talking about Akhil Sathyan's Pachuvum Athbutha Vilakkum. It's available on Prime Video and the film is proof that a template is never a problem if the storytelling is strong. Now that's a short review, the longer review follows, but there are going to be spoilers, so do watch at your own discretion. In Vinodayatra, a flawed but essentially good-natured man learns a bunch of life lessons from the people around him. In Jomonte Suviseshangal, a flawed but essentially good-natured man learns a bunch of life lessons from the people around him. In Nyan Prakashan, a flawed but essentially good-natured man learns a bunch of life lessons from the people around him. So like it or leave it, and I'm on the like it side, that's the Sathyan Antika template, and his son Akhil makes his debut with Pachuvum Athbutha Vilakkum, the story of a flawed but essentially good-natured man who learns a bunch of life lessons from the people around him. Why do the same stories, at least the same story templates, keep drawing us in? I can't speak for everyone, but these variations on a theme speak to me because I too am flawed though good-natured, I hope, and perhaps I see a younger version of myself in these characters. I don't want to call them leading men, and I suspect many others will too. Fahadh Faasil plays Pachu, and the magic lamp of the title is not something that gives him material riches, but something that bestows him with human treasures. That Athbutha Vilakku is life itself, which the writer-director treats like a sprawling journey filled with many detours and stops and fellow travelers. Some might say that this 3-hour film seems to be filled with unnecessary characters, but pay close attention and you will see, for instance, the reason for a long stretch with the boy who wakes up early and delivers newspapers. Now this happens over the opening credits as Justin Prabhakar's beautiful motivational song Chalte Raho plays on the soundtrack. Now this boy is what someone would become without an education, and his sister wants to study. We aren't explicitly told about this brother-sister bond, but the geography of their house is so distinct with its unique staircase that we know that they belong to the same household. Pachu runs an Ayurveda shop in Mumbai, and even this ancient system of medicine becomes a character. Late in the film, Pachu refers to a kind of massage that leaves you temporarily drained but makes you feel refreshed a few days later. Pachu similarly has been pummeled by a series of life events, but a little later he emerges strong enough to stop being self-centered and think about other people. One of these people is a young girl whose higher education is at stake because her penniless family wants her to work menial jobs and make money. The question is not whether Pachu saves her, that is a given. The real issue is that when Pachu sets out to save her and ends up surrounded by her people in a maze-like locality, she takes his hand and leads him out. She declares her cry of independence instead of Pachu having to give a lecture on her behalf about the importance of female education. And even better, the real savior of this moment is an old man played by the great Mohan Nagashe. His mere look can reduce people to fear. It is a super mass moment that plays out in complete silence. Many people in the big cast like Mohan Nagashe or Indrans or the late Innocent or Ahana Krishna or the actor who plays that newspaper boy may only be seen briefly. Many of them may only be seen briefly, but their scenes count. Their scenes add up to the life that becomes Pachu's magic lamp. Take the Malayali assistant who Pachu has brought to Mumbai to help with the shop. This young man's existence makes Pachu lazy as he does not have to be at the shop all day. As a pure narrative device, this man performs 3 functions. He shows us a facet of Pachu's character, including the fact that Pachu used to be a chauvinist. He infuses comedy through his inability to speak Hindi, and his presence at the shop allows Pachu to take off to Kerala, which gets the ball rolling in terms of the story. The film is not perfect. Some jokes land, like the one involving a man urinating on a compound wall or the one involving pepper spray. Some other jokes try too hard. There are some odd touches like the fact that Pachu is 34 years old and he has met 34 prospective brides to no avail. I didn't really get that. And for a while I kept wondering if so much detailing was necessary. Why not cut to the chase sooner? But then the design clicked and I settled down. If a long scene around a fish meal had not occurred, Pachu would not have had to stay back in Kerala, and if he had not stayed back, he would not have been entrusted with an important task. And if that task had not happened, he would not have met Hamsadhwani, played by Anjana Jayaprakash. And if Hamsadhwani's unseen roommate had not been a travel vlogger, Pachu might not have been able to stay in her house. But this is not a love story. One of the nicest things is that Pachu's mother wants him to find a girl. By the end, he does find a girl, and it's not the girl that you expect. Even the broad stroke, old-fashioned touches mostly work. Vineet plays a very rich man who has his grey shades, but a story from when he was a child shows us how generous he used to be and how growing up can make us shrink inside. Sometimes the more we have, the more we want, the less willing we become to share. At first, we think that this Vineet character has a certain kind of relationship with his mother, but slowly we see a different shade. Is this sentimental? Yes, of course, but it's a good kind of sentimentality. It is something that is built up to and not dropped on us like a brick in order to squeeze a few easy tears from us. For a large part, Akhil Sathyan doesn't spoon feed the audience. He drops a hint that Hamsadwani has suffered some personal trauma, and only later do we see what it is. I liked it that we learn the nickname of a character before we learn his actual name, and the scene containing this revelation is beautiful. Suddenly we realize why the seaside location is this woman's favorite spot. We also realize that tragedies won't leave us unless we let those memories go. I wish some characters had gotten a better sense of closure, like the kid going to Sabarimala. I wish some characters had been written better, like the toxic boyfriend, but the only real problem I had with Pachuvum Athbutha Vilakkum is the background score. The film has the offbeat and somewhat minimalist rhythms of a documentary, and the cutesy score keeps underlining every single emotion and tries too hard to overemphasize each scene. This undermines the hard work of the actors. Fahadh shows us how a thinking performer can freshen up a familiar role, but the film belongs to the three women from three generations. Anjana Jayaprakash, Vijay Venkatesh as the older woman who kicks the plot into motion, and young Dhwani Rajesh, whose educate the girl child subplot is treated humanistically and thankfully not hammered home as a message. The film's real message for me is that life is a meandering journey, as strange as something from the Arabian Nights, and at least in the Antikad family films, there's always a magic lamp waiting around the corner. So that's it about Pachuvum Athbutha Vilakkum. If you like this video review, do subscribe to Galatta Plus. I'll see you soon at the movies.
Holidays nale நம்ம GT Holidays தான் South India's #1 travel brand. தலைசிறந்த திருமண நகைகளின் பிரத்யேக அணிவகுப்பு ஸ்ரீகுமரன் தங்க மாளிகை. மருத்துவத்துறை சார்ந்த படிப்புகளுக்கு விநாயகா மிஷன் ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் அலைட் ஹெல்த் சயின்சஸ், சென்னை, சேலம், புதுச்சேரி.